Should be up and running. Here we go. I hope you can hear me now. Let me double check. I don't want to have a mum session here. This is a very important one. Yes, it is fine. Everybody can hear me, right? Thank you. All right. So what happened? Market bloodbath. Today it ended around 38,000, if I remember correctly, the Dow, and it had reached close to 44,000. So it's a fairly steep climb down. And this was the number. These were the numbers that was given yesterday at the close of market. Apple had fallen 3%. Today, I think it has fallen a further 5%. So you're looking at Apple having lost close to 8% of its value. And many of the Mag 7 stocks, they have fallen quite hard. Whether it is right or wrong, whether it is expected or not, there are a lot of questions here. The acceleration today towards the afternoon happened because, I'll take this thing out. This is just to give you an idea. Everybody is in red. The acceleration happened today towards the end of the day because China said that it would impose tariffs of 37% on US products. And this is a tit for tat move, and the good or the bad of that, we will wait and see what happens. The bigger problem here is that I think, this is my personal view, and Sridhar Chityalaji will come in about 7 hours time from now live and explain in more detail what is going on, because it was expected that Fed would actually lower interest rates at least 4 times in 2025. Now, he just made an announcement, Fed Chair Paul, that tariffs would actually slow down growth and increase inflation. And he's an inflation hawk. So if inflation goes up, that means chances are he's not going to cut the rate. So that is a challenge. I think Trump needs to force, or Trump wanted to force Powell's hand. So there is a small video that's doing the round as to why Trump is deliberately crashing the market. And let me play that video and then we'll come back. Here we go.
Trump is crashing the stock market by 20% this month, but he's doing it on purpose. And this is why Warren Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now, here's the secret game he's playing, and it could make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed to slash interest rates in May, and those lower rates give the Fed the ability to refinance trillions of debt very inexpensively. It also weakens the dollar and drops mortgage rates. Now, it's a wild chess move, but it's working. Now, you're probably wondering, what about his tariffs? Well, I'll tell you, it's a genius play. It actually forces companies to build here to dodge them. It also forces farmers to sell more of their products here in the US to bring grocery prices way down. We've already seen this with eggs. Now, remember, 94% of all stocks are owned only by 8% of Americans. So Trump, he's taking from the rich short term and handing it to the middle class through lower prices.
So you get the idea here, and there are lots of videos like this doing the round. So you can look for it on social media, especially on X. Lots of stuff, but the underlying story again and again is close to 9.2 trillion, dollars debt matures in 2025, and if at the current rate they have to be reserviced, even a 0.5% cut in interest rate will save $500 billion for the government. And they are hoping that there will be 4 cuts. Like I said, Powell doesn't seem like he wants to make a cut. In fact, in one of the speeches after Trump got elected, he said that this is a constitutional post. The president can't fire me if he wants to, something to that effect. So there is a bit of a showdown that might be happening. Be that as it may, let's take a quick look at the realities. Okay, so tariffs are bad for everybody because it's going to result in higher prices for all of us. But let's take a quick look at the size of the United States economy and the size of the United States market. 36% of the world consumption happens right here in United States. 36% is roughly 1 in 3. In other words, if I make 3 AirPods, one of them is bought in the United States, and 25% of the world economy is United States. That means for everything that gets done, out of 4, one portion of the economic growth is happening right here in the United States. You may agree with me, you may disagree with me, but some of these things have to be recognized, that this is the world's biggest market, not China, not India. And if these are not there, even EU as a group, I think it pales in comparison with the United States. We are really spoiled for riches. I can tell you this. Lots of us buy a lot of things because we have so much disposable income. Vacation homes. I'm not saying we should live a socialist life. If you can afford it, more power to you. But what I'm trying to say is there is a fair amount of money sloshing about. And if you look at the hardest fall of the stocks, it has been in the Mag 7. And some of the ones that have been having stratospheric growth in the past few years. And why was that growth done? It was believed that the rich, uber rich, were essentially backing these because they kind of felt that they could control the way the prices swing in these stocks, and therefore they would make money. I'm not saying this. This is, again, something that people routinely talk about in stock market parlance, or whenever you go to any forums where they're talking about market trends and so on and so forth. Forget about all that, right? Forget about all that. Take a look at price to earnings ratio. The price to earnings ratio for any stock, okay, if you look at it historically, what should be the number? That number, and today, what the Mag 7 stocks price to earnings ratio is, that will tell you a story. And some of you are actually asking me, is it a good time to enter into, or is it a good time to buy stock? Well, what I would say is do your research, find out the stock that you're comfortable with. First, take a look at price to earnings ratio, because there what happens is earnings is a fixed number, and if the if the earnings are low, then the PE will be very, very high. Don't you want the earnings to be high? Because that means that company is generating revenue. Just take a look at that price to earnings ratio, and then EPS, earnings per share. All these things will give you an idea, but don't just jump in and say, I like the stock, therefore I'm going to buy it, because you don't know how much lower that can go. And take a maybe 10-year window to look at how the price to earnings ratio has changed over 10 years. And then for any company that you are interested in, take a look at their track record. What are the things that they excelled at? And when that happened, and when those things delivered, how did the price to earnings ratio go up or down? EPS is also similar. The only difference is that if people keep issuing new shares, then the EPS will be kind of held down. But that's all I would say. Take a look at these things, and it will give you an idea as to what stock you are comfortable with and what is the entry point. My guess is that I would, if I were you, I would wait a little bit longer, and don't time the bottom. You can never time the bottom. But when the bottom hits, and then the thing turns, and then there is a market indicator that it is turning for the for good, that's when you need to enter. You won't hit the bottom. That's really the best person who can predict stocks. But wait till the thing starts uptick and it looks like a strong uptick. Again, you have to do a lot of research. Don't take any person's word for it. You need to have your own set of 5 or 6 stocks. Devour all the information from those stocks. Read their balance sheets, read their numbers, read their projections, look at the geopolitics. Who's going to be able to buy this stuff? Who's not going to be able to buy this stuff? All these things, little things here and there, that will give you an idea. Again, I said, don't do it for 100 shares, own only 5 or 6 shares. That is the mantra of Warren Buffett. 5 or 6 shares only. That's where he has made most of his wealth. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. Stay tuned. We are going to have more interesting things. This is a big gamble, I would say, on part of Trump. But look at the situation of the world. Gold continues to move to United States from Great Britain. Why? Is there a war imminent? Are war clouds gathering? Because the city of London doesn't want the war to stop, and Trump says, no, this is going to stop. That's one place where there's going to be a huge amount of skirmish. And by the way, many people who don't like Trump are also beginning to push back from within his own party. So that shakedown also is happening. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. That's all I wanted to say. We have a lot of questions here. Let me see if I can add more light to what I have already said. Here we go. All right, let's start with Chinnamari. श्री जी, क्या लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए अभी स्टॉक खरीदना अच्छी बात, भारत में ही Hyderabad style question, Chinnamari. See, there has been a fair amount of run up in India stocks also, and this is the same thing. Is it a good time to buy? I've already answered this. SK Digital. There is. I'm kind of not very positive on investing in Indian shares because the stock market is so shallow, very, very shallow. If you really want to make a killing, wait and look at some of the new projects or the new companies that will get floated. That might be like, for example, maintaining ships in and around Mazagon docks, or like, I think there's a company called Kalyani. I don't know if they are traded, things like that. I'm no expert. I've seen some people do good job of predicting these things. I think one stock that was looked at in detail by an analyst in P Gurus was Asian Paints, and he also explained the mantra behind Asian Paints success. Also, there is another company. This makes flip flops, Hawaii Chappal, right? This thing is enormously profitable in India. Their shares are very profitable. See, these are the things. Nifty 50 will talk about Infi, HDFC, this, that. The same 10 names will be bandied about. You listen to Pink channels, same thing they'll be talking. They will not look at some of these gems that are there, and they're making a lot of money for you in India. Take a look at them. Aknit de dollar done. I don't know what it means, boss. Is it true Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg lost 208 billion and Apple alone lost 200 billion? I mean, this is all notional loss. This is not actual loss. Why don't you celebrate when the stock ran up that this guy made 200 billion, that guy made 200 billion, right? When it is going up, it's all hunky-dory, but when it falls down, you feel bad. But this is psychology, by the way. They conducted an experiment on a human being. How much happy they were making 10% in a day in stocks was only half as how much unhappy they were losing 10% of their stock. So this is just bad news hurts us more than good news, I guess. Chinnamari, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing Sridhar Chittala, sir, Miss DGS. Yes, he's coming online in 7 hours. He has done a lot of research, and that will give you more clarity on all these things. Let's see. PV says, if companies move their production facility to USA, are there enough workforce to do hard work in factories, even if the currently non-existent infrastructure is quickly created? I think so, PV. You know why? See, 11 million are supposed to have been identified as illegals and are supposed to be going back to their country. But how many have been caught so far? 70,000. That's it. There's a long way to go. So there's a long way to go, and I think we should just keep that in mind. And many people may be retrained. There are a lot of people without jobs, by the way, a lot of people. And bringing back infrastructure where you can put up a facility to do things, that doesn't take too long. See, Trump, in my opinion, is front-loading the pain. First 3 months, you're going to have pain because he needs to be having the economy humming and running great by the time midterm elections come. That is 2 years from now. So he has a very limited window of 18 months between now and the time the preparations for the next midterm elections in 2026 start. So he has to do everything in this time, and he is really turning the economy on its head. I think he has got a lot of plans. This is just one facet. There are many other things that are going on. So grab your seatbelt and make sure that you have tightened your seatbelt, and this is going to be one heck of a ride. Gamers Galore says, what is your take on Signal Gate? Seems like they dropped the ball on this and possible agent compromise. Signal, there's only one thing that I can say, that even if the US politicians trust Signal, then the encryption there must be pretty good, right? And people say this was accidentally leaked. Some people say it was deliberately leaked. But look at what it accomplished. Houthis have been quiet, isn't it? Isn't that a good thing, though? And what is happening in Iran? Iran is also very, very quiet. So there was an intended consequence for that, and I think that intended consequence happened. We will not be knowing all these things. Nobody will tell us, in black and white what really happened. Gamers Galore, Mr. Ankit Shah's predictions are coming true. He gives a different perspective and is worth listening to. It would be nice to have him back on your show. He has an open invitation to be on our show. He said he's been busy lately because he's trying to get his own channel off the ground. So whenever he's ready, I will be happy to host him. I have no problem. I want everybody to get all different views, not just one person's view, because this is a complex world. Simple to say that. As simple as that. Thought Provocateur says, is Trump opening too many fronts at once when the fires he promised to put out on day one of his comeback are still burning? Sometimes you make these statements like, I'm going to stop the Ukraine-Russia war on day one. Well, this problem didn't start now. It started in 1994, when after 1991, the US promised that not 1 inch will be moved by the NATO eastward. And by 1994, they had already added 4 more countries. And like that, they added 17 more countries to NATO. So there is a history behind this. It cannot be stopped in one day. There has to be some feeling of trust. That trust has gone out the window. Mikhail Gorbachev completely forgave his political career because he said, okay, I know my method is not working right, that is communism. And he allowed the USSR to break up into parts. And he also allowed the United States to come in and take a look at what was there in Russia. And that did help Russia. Yeltsin did some good. And then Yeltsin demitted office. And he said that, look, there's only one guy I trust who's not a communist and who's not a part of the oligarchs, and that is Putin. And that's how Putin ended up becoming the president. And Putin has done a decent job. Think about, ask any Russian who lives in Russia. They're very happy with what he has done. Gamers Galore again. Rumor is that Trump is getting ticked with Elon's antics and post-Wisconsin's election laws has said that Elon is on his way out. Is this true per your sources? No, I think Elon said that he was not going to be there for more than 4 months. And I think that is happening. That has been happening for a while now. He's now into his 2nd month. Another 120, 130. That is the appointment period for government advisor. So it's possible that he might extend it or he might just leave it at that. He has 6 companies to run. I had a special program on this. Take a look at that one. Avinash Kumar wants to know, seriously, Trump is intentionally crashing US stock. Next, EU will place tariffs, then again stock will crash. Well, EU is not in a position to do that right now. They want a war, according to some, because they want to reset on all their bond payments. And a war would help them do that, because you will declare martial law, you would put capital controls, you would not allow money to leave any country. Did you know before the First World War started that you could trade stocks in St. Petersburg in Russia, or in Berlin, Germany, or in France, in Paris, France, or in London, or in New York? Any stock. Any stock. And then First World War happened. So there are many other things that we all don't know. All these controls, you can only sell in this country and not that country, and American depository receipts. This is what India's stocks have to be bought in US. It is so procedural. I'm like tired by the time I even look at the process. All right, guys, that's all we have. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.